Remember the message I offered just a couple of weeks ago about the cloud of witnesses. Their purpose is to encourage us as we claim this day and this moment. And it's in that sense that legacy matters. In fact, you have in your bulletin this, what color do we call this? Yeah, that's right. Green, there we go, yeah. This is inserted for your use because we're wanting to, in a special way during January and February, celebrate the legacy of those who have been among us as inspirational figures in faith, whose model of life and faith and leadership in the life of this church inspires us. So I want to encourage you, if you haven't already, to put down the name of someone and explain a little bit from your perspective why you would name them as a legacy person in the life of our church. And then optionally, you can include your name so that we know you were the one who gave it to us. That's optional, as you can see. But please do that for us. And in that spirit, we actually have Carol Everly coming this morning to celebrate the legacy of one many of you will know.
I'm here this morning to celebrate the legacy of Greg Weber. Greg Weber was a man who loved this church, was a person who was very strong in many, many ways. He was our choir director from 1959 to 1996, and there's a plaque out in the hall that's dedicated to that time in his life that he was so strong for us. And then, of course, even after he stopped being the choir director, he was still singing in the choir until he couldn't anymore. And that brings me to when he found out that he had cancer. I wasn't here during that time, but I do remember the year that he stood up and said that he was cancer-free. And then he was cancer-free for 10 full years. He and Gisela just treasured that time. And then we started working on during that time, John Walker did retire also, and we started working on the John Walker Chapel. And Greg was very tireless in that, very, very tireless in that for many years. And his goal and his determination was to finish that chapel, even though during that time again, his cancer returned. And even though he was very, very weak most of the time when he was working the last few years that they were working on the chapel, he still was there working alongside all the rest of the people on his committee. And I just found out this morning from Jim Geary, who was one of the strong people too, that in fact, Greg went by himself and purchased the sign that is above the John Walker Chapel. And when that sign was hung, the chapel was finished. And Greg was very, very happy about that. He wrote a song during this time. There's a picture of the choir robe that he loved to wear. He wrote a song during this time, and it's a part of the music stained glass window in the John Walker Chapel. It talks about he is there. And I can't tell you how hard the ladies worked this morning, but Ron and Teresa and Julie have found the only time that Greg was ever recorded, and we're going to play it for you now. Is that right, Julie? Yeah.
God is with me every day, even when I go astray. He's my guide in every need, if only I listen and give him heed. He is there to lift my spirits and answer my prayer. Praise to the Father and to the Son. answers prayer. He's not discouraged when things go bad, and lifts my spirits when I am sad. He is.
So as you can see, Greg was very dedicated to the First Christian Church of Bonner Springs, and he loved the God that we all love very much. So in closing, I'd like to say that he does leave a big legacy behind in his actions and his love and his strength, and we do treasure his memory as we go forward. Thank you.